Here we are. What do we now? Let's see. 6 days into the big GST rebate for all of us, except, of course, in Quebec, where it's really a much smaller rebate. But the deal is, and I have not seen numbers or heard anybody who's necessarily gone out and said, hey, guess what? I drove across the border to Ontario, did some shopping, saved about 15%. Well, according to the Canadian Federation for Independent Business, which represents small and medium-sized businesses across Canada, our little GST tax holiday, or what Christopher Freeland called gimmick, has in fact been one giant mess. Their words, not mine. So let's find out why. Dan Kelly, President and CEO of the Canadian Federation for Independent Business, is on the line. Dan, thanks for being here. So one giant mess. What's the issue? Why is this a problem?
Oh, gosh, it has been so problematic right from the get-go. This is the retailer's busiest possible season where they make any money that they're going to have to last the difficult January, February, and March months. And they've had to, instead of focusing on their customers, focused on changing computer systems and trying to discern an incredibly confusing list of products. It sounds simple. I think most consumers think that all the merchant has to do is press a button and the GST is taken off. But in fact, they have to try to sort through, if you're a gift store, a hobby store, toy store, thousands and thousands of items and make judgment calls as to which is in what column. So, for an example, a doll for play is exempt from GST right now. A doll for collecting is not. A Lego set for kids is exempt. A Lego set for adults is not.
What?
Get this. A hobby, if you're buying a model airplane, the glue and the paint, if it's included in the box, and the box is for kids, it's GST-free. If it's sold separately, it's not. These are the kinds of things that business owners have to do.
I had no idea. First of all, when you said Lego for children, Lego for adults, I'm not sure what the difference is unless it says on the box for 5 and over. But that aside, I know merchants were complaining about this at the get-go. Maybe it's not fair to ask what the government should have done before going ahead and rushing this thing through to get it right, but clearly they should have done something.
Yeah, look, I think for starters, is this the right way to address affordability? There's nothing wrong with a tax cut. But they've chosen the complicated possible model to make it happen, and it's here for 2 months. So you've got to do all your point-of-sale systems changes in December, your busiest time, and then you've got to undo it in mid-February. That each shot is about $1,000 of programming costs for the average small business alone, let alone the headaches that they have to go through. If you were going to exempt things, exempt them for good. Like if we're going to take things off of the list to improve affordability, let's take them off the list. But we've created brand new tax categories on a temporary basis, and business owners, consumers alike, are confused as to what's in, what's out, and we're getting all sorts, like Walmart, Toys R Us are not doing this properly. There's been a few investigations where they're still charging the GST because it is super hard to sort this out.
So you've been hearing, obviously, from businesses. What's the biggest complaint? Just the fact that it requires so much time just to get this right?
That's it. It's the hours and hours that it takes. So I talked to a Toronto area gift store, 5 employees. They have 75,000 items either in the store or online. And the owner, who's on mat leave, had to go through every single one of 75,000 items to make judgment calls as to which ones would be subject to the holiday and which ones wouldn't. That's the biggest issue. But the other is the big fear factor. If you get it wrong, you don't charge tax when you were supposed to, or you do charge tax when you're not supposed to, and you're afraid now of getting an audit from the Canada Revenue Agency with a big bill at the end of this. So that's why companies like Coke and Pepsi have said, you know what, we're not going to participate in the GST holiday, even though they're as obligated as anyone. The distributors of products are telling us they're going to continue to charge GST to the retailers that sell their products. So as I said, it's just a big hot mess.
So I'm reading here, there's a note that says, is it true that Canada Revenue, so the CRA says it's not planning to enforce what it's just done here rigidly? It's telling businesses to just do your best and hope, and basically hope for the best?
Yeah, so this has been right before, on the eve, the night before the holiday took place. We started getting word that in fact there was no obligation on the part of business owners to do this. So government doesn't want to tell us the right answer. They're afraid to actually say, no, it's optional. So they've given us all sorts of wiggle words. But the bottom line is that basically it's a best effort on the part of business owners And companies have already flagged that they're not planning to do it. And as a result, we don't expect there's going to be any action taken against them if they don't.
This is
Now,
crazy.
most merchants will use it because if they don't, if you're a retailer, you're going to be afraid to have your customer leave you and go down the street to save, in Quebec's case, 5%. Or in Ontario's case, 13%. So that'll be the competitive pressure will get most companies to join in and participate.
I love this. So you're basically on the honor system here, and whether you cheat or not, or it's not cheating because you're trying to do your best, they don't really seem to care, is what the government is saying.
I think
Good luck.
Well, this is it. It is messy, but look, if you collect it, basically your choice is you can continue to collect the tax as normal. You, of course, in that situation, have to remit it to government. You don't get to keep it as a business, and that makes sense. Or you can try your best to administer the holiday. So CRA is trying to make clear that they're not going to be going after people. But, CRA doesn't have the greatest track record with small business owners. There's a big fear factor of making a mistake.
I'm trying to, maybe it's not fair to ask what should have been done. I think to myself, maybe a credit would have been a better idea. Go ahead, buy your stuff, and then we'll give you the money back you did spend on GST, but I imagine that'd be a bit of a headache as well, maybe a nightmare too.
No, look, the crazy part is, as you remember, there were two pieces to this that were supposed to happen. One was the GST holiday. The other was supposed to be a check for $250 to every working Canadian. The government went ahead with the super complicated GST holiday for business, and then basically it seems like they've ditched the idea of the $250 checks. Now, I'm not here to advocate for those checks, but at least it's an easier administrative model where you get the money and then the consumer can decide. The businesses don't have to change their whole systems.
By the way, what sort of jackpot does this leave a consumer in who's heard about this, knows there's supposed to be a GST holiday, then goes into a store and discovers, I don't know, by virtue of the owner of the store, either not knowing what to charge GST on or not, and someone demanding, no, I don't want to pay the GST. Have there been situations like that?
Yeah, this is the thing that we were very afraid of, consumer behavior. So you've got a 19-year-old part-time clerk, and the person behind the counter is having a meltdown, the customer is having a meltdown because they're buying the Lego set for their 12-year-old, but it's marked 14 plus, and therefore is ineligible for the GST holiday. You can't expect 19-year-old part-time store clerks to have become GST experts in 2 days. And so we're seeing that. We also are seeing examples where customers basically bought, say, a big bag of toys weeks ago and are now taking it back to the store, returning it, and then repurchasing it in order to take the tax off.
Right.
And when a consumer does that, what happens is the merchant lost probably 1% to 2% of the sale for the credit card fees on the original purchase, has to pay more fees for the return on the credit card, and then pays 1% to 2% of a sale the third time in order to when the consumer repurchases it in order to save the GST. So these are the kinds of things that merchants are telling us is happening.
It's you're describing a situation that I think if you sat and looked at this, you think, no, this can't be real. This can't possibly happen. A government came up with this policy, and this is the best they could do. But unfortunately, that's the case. This is sticking around for 2 months. There's no sign this is going to be pulled at all.
No, this is in place. And look, we're in for a penny, in for a pound now. Yeah. Merchants have done, if they're going to participate, they've done the heavy lifting already as best they can. But look, we've at CFIB have produced special counter signage for merchants, urging consumers to be patient and understanding. If a merchant hasn't adopted this fully, it's not because they're trying to be a jerk. It's because they don't have time. This is their busiest season, and it's super complicated to do so.
Asking customers to be patient and understanding. Those are the words you used, right?
Indeed, yes.
Good luck with that, Dan. Okay. Dan Kelly from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Dan, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Anytime.